Welcome back to the National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic. Our next session is going to cover your health choices. Dr. Peg Dundon, the National Program Manager for Health Behavior, is joined by Sophia Hurley, who is the MOVE Physical Activity Program Coordinator and is a National Center for Health Promotion and Disease Prevention team member. Both Dr. Dundon and Sophia are going to discuss topics designed to keep you healthy. So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Dundon and Sophia. I did also want to mention before they start that they are open to questions. So if you would like to raise your hand or get on chat and ask a question during the presentation, that is fine. Okay, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Jill, and welcome everyone. We're glad to be with you on this beautiful day. Hopefully it's also a beautiful day where you are, and we wanted to kick off with a visual acknowledgement of the snowy days past when this was a face-to-face experience, and look forward to that happening again, but glad we can still be together this way. If we can, let's see here. I didn't practice advancing the slide, did I? Let's see. There we go. So we wanted to start with some introductions and get a quick round of people's names and where you're from and maybe one highlight of this Winter Sports Clinic experience for you. I think you could choose whether you want to share a highlight from this week or whether you'd like to share what brings you to this workshop today. So I'll, Sophia, let you kind of lead that because I can't see the names in the chat or the hands. So if you could help
Absolutely.
us.
Terrific. You can all go right ahead. As we just entered into the chat, there's a raised hand feature or reactions on Zoom, or you can type your name or question into the chat if you have a question. And Hector says his highlight of the week is WSC, all in caps, all in quotes. In the chat, Johnny Vaca says, my highlight of the week is the virtual connection with the community. I'm sure so many of us are learning new and exciting and different ways that maybe we never thought we would connect previously. And then Brian from Salt Lake City, been a very special and moving week for me. I had planned to attend the 2020 Winter Sports Clinic until COVID-19 had to show its ugly face, absolutely. He says, you've all been so wonderful and inspiring. Thank you for the experience. Thank you, Johnny, as well. Oh, I love this one, Peter. Peter Axelson, having time to attend sessions that he's never had time to attend during the normal event. Getting to the evening sessions can be difficult. Excellent. Well, we're glad to have you, Peter. Thanks.
There are advantages to this virtual option, for sure.
And Richard Bogue says all the inspirational people and their stories. No kidding. I'll never forget my first experience at the Winter Sports Clinic. I can tell you that. Any thoughts on what had you decide to join us for the workshop today?
So Johnny says, I have not attended previously and I'm looking forward to attending my first.
Fabulous. Murdoch, seeing beautiful smiling faces from Michigan. Great. Thanks for joining us from Michigan. Awesome. Bill Taylor shares one of his favorites was mental health with COVID. I imagine taking care of mental health. Tiffany, for her first time attending and being involved, she's a rec therapist and she's here to learn all that she can so that she can be an advocate. Wow, Tiffany, welcome.
Well, and move on to some sort of inspirational images like those that we just saw that really, I think, for most of us are probably part of what inspires you to be active and to attend to your own health so that you can do these kinds of activities competitively. I know when I've done athletic competitive things, I've really worked harder and been more active than I am if I'm not preparing for something like that. So we like to look at these as really inspiring images and think about what kinds of things they might inspire you toward in terms of your own health. And this slide kind of depicts the healthy living behaviors that we have found to be, most connected to good health, and those that we kind of highlight in our work at NCP. And we're going to talk a little bit more about them, but we want to kind of highlight those different behaviors that you might think about in terms of your own goal setting, because as you know, this is a workshop about thinking about your own health choices and your own goals for your health. I don't know why the image just went away there, but here we're back. So we're going to move to, we're going to actually invite you to start thinking about, you see a variety of healthy living areas represented here. So limiting alcohol, healthy eating, being more active, getting good rest, getting your vaccines, and taking care of your health measures that you need to attend to. So we're going to go through those a little more systematically and invite you to think about which area you might want to set a goal in today. And why are we doing any of this? Well, we know that particularly these three health behaviors that are pretty common, that of tobacco use, of unhealthy eating, or inactivity, those three things by themselves cause 4 chronic disease areas here that we've all heard about and probably known of, and many might even have experienced. Cardiovascular disease, so heart attacks, high blood pressure, strokes, all those things, diabetes, lung disease, and a lot of cancers. They're all caused by these unhealthy behaviors that we're prone to, and they cause half of all the deaths in the world. So that's kind of why in our work in the world of prevention, we try and focus on helping people have healthy living, essentially. And one of the tools we use for that is this My Health Choices tool. And I think that you may have been able to access it in the resources for this workshop. It's actually available both as a plain old printed piece of paper, but also in an interactive fillable way, so that if you're interested in doing it electronically, you may have already downloaded it in the materials for today, and you can actually fill it in electronically. So that's kind of cool. It shows you these 10 healthy living message areas, and I think hopefully it's big enough to see. There a range of things from managing stress to being physically active, and quite a few things in between here. And we wanted to pause here and give you a chance to look at those areas and think about what you might like to address in your own goal-setting part of your life, and also think about an alternative if none of these are areas. If you got all 10 of these things going good and you don't feel like you need to make any changes, there's a room here for a different goal that we maybe aren't featuring in this. So let me pause there and see if people have any questions or thoughts about what areas they might want to choose. We would also suggest, if you aren't going to do that fillable PDF, which might be a little bit much to do while you're watching this, I think that might be asking too much. You might want to do it later. But if you do have a paper and pen or pencil available, and you could jot some things down, that might help make this more meaningful for you. So either by memory or writing down, we wonder if folks are, if anyone is actually ready to share what area they might be interested in working on.
So Hector says, sleep, 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 and eat wisely.
Ah, okay. Sounds like sleep got 3 votes for Hector.
In all caps, too.
And Richard says, Richard also says sleep and physically active.
Sleep is our newest addition, and we actually have a lot of resources we'll talk about as we move on here that'll help get you started in more detail and more depth if you want to work on that, or any of these really, but we'll show you things that'll help you. Anybody else want to share the area that they have selected, or anybody having trouble sort of choosing an area?
My two biggest ones are a healthy weight. I weigh more now than I ever have in my entire life, and I was flabbergasted the other day. And also just to get motivated to get moving more.
Nice. That's a good goal. And
That's
hopefully, as we move through this goal-setting piece today, we'll maybe help you with your motivation for that. Let's see. This next slide is actually kind of about that, and I'm really impressed that so many of you, I thought, oh, well, you were quiet at first. Maybe no one has anything they want to do, but actually it sounds like most people have a few things they would like to work on. So no lack of targets here. This is our important.
Sorry, Peg, there's just a couple of others in the chat also looking to work on, again, sleep, physical activity, eating wisely, and VHA Jack Floyd T says, oh yeah, my weight as well. So folks are chiming in the chat as well, so thanks.
And one of the things that's sort of highlighted by this, I think, at this time, you've mentioned COVID, and certainly, you know, most of these things have been more challenging for people with COVID. A lot of people have gained weight. It's been a little harder to be active, and certainly been more stressful, and there have been a lot more challenges for most of us at some point or other with sleep during this. So I think this is a good time to take a look at some of these things. And one of the things we wanted to invite you to think about, or to we'll ask one or two of you to share sort of how important is it to you to address whatever the issue is that you have identified that you want to prioritize here. And 0 would be it's really not at all important, and 10 would be extremely important. So take a second here and give it a number in your head or on your paper. How important is it to you to improve your sleep or improve your weight or be more physically active, whichever of these areas you're most wanting to focus on. And once you have a number in mind, I'd like to ask for someone who would be willing to share their number as an example, and we might ask you a little follow-up question or two about it. Sophia, you're smiling.
I am just sharing a couple of other things in the chat about individuals talking about how they've been struggling with weight for a long time, and making small steps like I'm cutting back on the sugar drinks that I like to drink. And my comment back was that's a, you know, small steps are a great way to start, and attending this workshop and identifying that you have some goals and areas that you want to work on is a terrific first step.
Okay, and is anybody in the chat sharing an importance number or not yet?
Johnny says 10, 10, 10, and 8.
Okay. All right, Johnny, can I ask you what makes it a 10 and not a 3?
I'm convinced that if you're not focused on giving things a 10, that it's not going to be a lower number for very long. It's going to be even a lower number. So that's the reason why I think it's best to put a 10 into whatever it is that you're attempting to do, and that's how I do it. I just stay very passionate and focused on it, and that's how I become successful.
So for you, it has to be a really high priority, or it might not happen.
That's the way I feel about it, because let's face it, you know, we all have our priorities, right? And
right.
If you don't give something a 10, you know, that being a top priority, for some people it's like a 1, but, you know, it's how are you doing your rating scale? Yeah, I find the most successful you can be by being very passionate and make it a 10.
Mm-hmm. So you want to put a lot of energy into it and effort.
That's right. That's the only way you'll be successful at it. Yep.
Hector says 10, 10, 10, and 8.
Okay. What makes that important to you, Hector, whichever area you're choosing there?
Hello, everyone. Just the sleep. That's why I put 10, 10, 10, because I was like sleep, 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 and eat wisely. Just to sleep, it's been a struggle. I know when I got injured with the second TBI, on 2006, and I was averaging about 2.5 hours of sleep after that until like 2012. Well, 2011 was my third TBI, and then things really struggled. I couldn't sleep much. I was always awake, and then found the alcohol, and I thought I was putting me to sleep, but it didn't. So and then I overcame the alcoholism, but it's just now it's still the sleep. I mean, I'm getting more than what I used to, but it's just the deep sleep that I need now. Because like last night, let me see if I look at here, 35 minutes of deep sleep that I got. And REM was an hour and 32, and light sleep 2 hours. So I averaged about 4 hours and 6 minutes of sleep last night. Or should I say this morning? But it's stuff like that. It's just trying to. I mean, I avoided candy, I avoided sodas. I don't drink soda at all, and all I've been drinking water. So it's just trying to figure out what is going to help me to stay.
What else you can do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you're definitely in an area that we do have some good resources for. We'll point those out to you as we move along here. And it sounds like it's super important to you because it affects so much of our lives to get good sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this idea of thinking about what makes your target area important is one way we can help ourselves stay motivated, because it's really reminding us why things are important. Let's move. I'm just wanting to make sure we get through all this stuff too, so we're going to try and balance out navigating all this material and helping you get some goals for where you want to go from here. And we know that SMART goals, how many people, raise your hand if you've heard of SMART goals? Couple.
Hands are up. Murdoch.
Okay.
Rachel Thompson. Rachel. Richard's got his hands up. Heather has her hand up. Excellent.
All right. So we have some familiarity. Why don't we go ahead and review it just so everybody's on the same page here. We're going to give you a quick definition for what SMART goal setting is. The S stands for specific, and it's really about being very specific about what you're going to do. The M is for how you'll know if you've made progress, measurable. That way we can kind of hold ourselves accountable for our goals. They are best if they're action-oriented. What are you actually going to do to reach your goal? And realistic. It has to be something that is doable for you. And last, it's helpful to have them be time-based, so you know if you've met it and when, or if you need to kind of review and regroup. So those are all the elements of a good goal. And here's an example of one. This person says, I will walk briskly in my neighborhood for 15 minutes before I leave for work, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting next week. I'm going to do it for 2 weeks and then review my progress. Do you think this is specific? Pretty much, I guess, right? I think we chose this one, and in the interest of time, we'll just sort of acknowledge that it does. You can see elements for each of these parts of SMART in there. It's very specific. They're going to walk for 15 minutes, and they tell you when exactly in the day they're going to do it, and what days, and when it's all going to start, and then they're going to look it over again in 2 weeks. So it's a very SMART goal. They're not quite as easy to do as they might look, but we thought it would be good for you to craft one for yourself about the area that you're already interested in addressing. We'll certainly steer you to some resources to help you in these areas, but we wanted to see if folks felt able to set a goal for one thing you might do this next week related to the area of whatever it is for you, the sleep or the weight or the activity. Most of us have information about what is good to do, but we don't always kind of strategize ways to help ourselves do healthy things. And this is one way to do that. So take a minute and write down on your piece of paper, if you have one, what your goal might be for next week. This form that we're using, again, is available to you in the download, so you can use it more actively, if not on the call. And it's important that whatever you choose is something that matters to you, not anyone else.
And there's one that's already been shared in the chat, Peg.
Oh, awesome. That's what we were going to do next, was to look for a volunteer. But let me ask you to note when you're doing this, once you have a goal that, and I can go back to the prior slide for those SMART elements if you like, or you can work more on your goal later. We're sort of trying to help you get the idea here. I guess they're right up at the top of the slide, actually, that it's something that's really specific and measurable and all those other qualities. It's good to think ahead about what might get in your way and then what you can do about those things that might be barriers. So our next slide is really looking for a volunteer, and it sounds like we already have one in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Murdoch put in the chat to get back to the gym at least twice a week. And Peg, maybe it would be helpful to go back to the previous slide. So that, okay, great. And we have another that shared, now that the weather is improving, make a personal commitment to get outside and walk for 30 minutes every day until my stamina endurance levels have improved to where I can advance to an hour a day. So lots of nice specifics in there.
Yeah. So let's take that one if we could. And let's see, are there any, that's a pretty good goal. When would that one start?
So Brian, when do you feel that you'll start working on that goal?
A year from next Christmas. No, that would start today, actually.
It would start today.
Okay.
Yes.
And
right.
Brian, is that a realistic goal for you? Are you able to start with 30 minutes today, or do you think you need to work up to that?
I think 30 minutes would be fine. I mean, I'm able to get out and about. I do my own grocery shopping and what have you.
So right now, given what you're thinking, which I'm hearing is 30 minutes every other day, how confident are you that you can do that? You see our little confidence scale here on the bottom of the form. 0, not at all, and 10 is extremely.
I'm probably one of the most confident people that ever lived. So I always started at 10. And then if I defeat myself, then I can adjust downward. But yeah, every other day is realistic for me.
And you're pointing out a really good strategy, really, which is to make adjustments. That's really the secret to success, I think.
It's also for everyone, not just for you, Brian, to celebrate your accomplishments along the way too. So by dialing back the expectations and thinking a little, maybe a step smaller in your initial set of goals, you get to celebrate having reached that goal and then reset for the new one, as you just mentioned. It just gives you a smaller chunk initially. And again, if you take it in those, and also gives your time frame, gives you a little bit less pressure to reach that goal if it's a shorter time frame, and then you can keep adjusting. So as you progress, and you can always ramp it up, ramp it back, whichever works.
Right.
So thank you, Brian, for sharing. Yeah, for sharing so openly with us. Peg, did you have any other comments before we shift to the Strategies for Success, which is another resource or tool that's available to you in the resources section for the Winter Sports Clinic?
Nope, I think take it away, Sophia. We've got about 10 minutes left.
Yep, great. So we've stepped you through identifying a goal area, helping you to understand what a SMART goal is, and helping you to at least start, I hope, formulating your own SMART goal. And we've talked about the possible roadblocks that might get in the way and ideas for overcoming those. And the tool that we're introducing to you now, the Strategies for Success, gives some other suggestions and ideas for ways to help you achieve success in reaching your goals. When you think about goals that you have set previously, what types of things have worked for you in the past when you've been successful at reaching a goal? Who would like to share? Richard typed into the chat, small chunks. So absolutely taking small steps and progressing as you do. Tracking your progress. Yes, using a calendar or a list, Johnny, perfect. And I think you kind of hit on a few things we've seen in the chat, and then from folks who spoke over there, using a calendar or some kind of a list, choosing something that is important to you that you want to share with others. So getting support in that way, tracking your progress. I mentioned the celebrating part of it, which is also fun. And that's part of having someone that you can share your accountability with. We talked a little bit previously about looking for in advance and identifying roadblocks and coming up with solutions for if you encounter those roadblocks along the way. In the chat, we see celebrate small milestones. Absolutely. Maybe changing your routine will be helpful as well to find a new way to do something. And your accountability partner sometimes can help with helping you stick to it, as we say here. And then at the foundation of all of this is that SMART goal, making sure that it's something that's realistic for you, that is important to you, putting some time structure around it so that you know when, and you're tracking on a regular basis, and it helps to keep you going. Yes, Johnny, he says, I love my Google Calendar and live by it, staying very busy. Keeping yourself organized and centered and focused. I know I can get very tangential and get out on lots of different things, especially when it comes to managing things for my own health. Having someone to do things with is always helpful for me. Yes, Murdoch, that goes into the getting support piece. So we wanted to make a connection for you all to some resources that are available, both at your VA, in your VA community, and then in the broader community. So one of those things we heard about a little bit earlier on in the comments was the VA's MOVE program. And thank you, Peg. There's a little bit of information on this slide here about the MOVE program. MOVE can help you with managing your weight. As part of managing your weight, you can work on being more physically active. You can work on choosing more wisely the foods that you put into the foods and beverages that you put into your diet. And MOVE is available in a variety of different ways. At your medical centers, there is someone called the MOVE coordinator. They are in charge of coordinating the MOVE weight management program at your site and helping you to identify which format of MOVE care is the best for you. Before COVID and before all of the physical distancing restrictions, there were group sessions for MOVE. Now there's a lot of MOVE that happens over the phone, through Telemove with the devices in your home, through the MOVE Coach mobile app. And then the physical activity intervention is called Be Active and Move. So there's a variety of different opportunities and options for you for specifically for weight management care. And those are available to you at your medical center. Then there's a great, terrific resource available that is called the Veterans Health Library. This is available to you at the website that you see linked here on the slide. There are also links to the Veterans Health Library on My Healthy Vet, if you are a My Healthy Vet user. And there are literally thousands of different resources within the Veterans Health Library on different areas of your health, whether it's coping with pain, dealing with lung disease. There are interactive guides, there are videos, there are resources that you can print out, and they are available both in English and in Spanish. There are a lot of tools for diabetes as well. So we do encourage you to go and check out the Veterans Health Library for a tremendous amount of resources. We have a couple of more resources that we want to bring to your attention. One is the Healthy Living Assessment, which is another great way to answer a brief questionnaire about your health, about your lifestyle, that will help you to formulate some goals for yourself. It is also available through My Healthy Vet. And it creates a customized plan for you with some suggestions. And then you can take this to your healthcare team at the VA and share your results from the Healthy Living Assessment to help formulate some goals for you and the best path forward. And then Peg, why don't we go ahead and go on to the next. So at your medical centers, there is a team called the Healthy Living Team. The MOVE coordinators are a member of that team. We have the flu coordinators and some Veterans Health Education coordinators as well, who can all help direct you toward the Healthy Living Health Promotion programming that is available both at your medical center and in the community. We wanted you to know that those folks exist. And then a few of the community resources that we wanted to bring to your attention, but then also wanted to ask you to either type into the chat or let us know over the phone about your favorite community resource. This Team Red, White, and Blue may be new to some of you. The Team Red, White, and Blue mission is to enrich the lives of America's veterans by connecting them to their community through physical and social activity. So right now they have a lot of different virtual challenges that they do. It's a fabulous opportunity. Click the link there. You can join in your local community and be involved with other veterans. Also, many of you have used the YMCA. And the YMCA has a special agreement with the VA also to provide some special programming and to provide special opportunities for veterans. Lastly, out in the community, obviously using sidewalks, parks, malls, trails, anything that you can to be out, something that brings you joy and helps you. Johnny Vaca says, I have too many favorites. We have folks typing into the chat, the Veterans Health Library link, the MOVE link. This is fantastic. The prevention.va.gov link. Really what I think is the most important thing is that you look for and choose things that work for you. Know that there are members of your VA healthcare team that are available to help guide you and support you on your journey, as well as to help you make those links to the programs and the resources that are available. Other questions or comments?
Thank you so much, Sophia and Peg. That was great. Great information. Thanks for all your great input, too. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, great participation, everybody. This has been a real treat. And we hope, fingers crossed, that we can meet face-to-face soon.
Yeah, 2022.
Exactly.